David Liston, how you going?
Yeah, good, Todd. Good to be back.
Mate, it's good to have you here. And we're talking about commissions. It's the highly contested topic. No one wants to pay it. Every agent wants to earn it. It's the classic sort of switch that we want to make sure that we can get on top of. Because I think that there's, I guess a bit of a miscommunication out there in the market. And as a former agent, I've actually got my 2 cents I'd like to throw into this in a second. But I think because there's so many more investors that are considering selling at the moment, this is going to be an episode that can really help a lot of people with just a little bit of here's something to consider. So if we can open it up, man, what's something that I guess people really need to take into consideration when choosing an agent, talking commissions, negotiate them, but still getting a good deal and the best value?
Great question, Todd, and it's a little bit of a taboo subject.
A little bit, yeah.
Most of us don't want to talk about it, but I feel it's great. It's good to give the investors a bit of an understanding about how it may look. Incentivized sliding scales are always a good way to get the best value out of an agent.
Okay, talk to me about a sliding scale.
Yeah, so a sliding scale is basically, you set a price to market, and obviously every 100,000 that you get above that, your commission may go up. So you might start at 1.5%, for a certain price point, and then in another bracket it goes up to 1.6 or 1.7 or however that may work. But what it does is it gives that agent and yourself some confidence that they're working in everyone's best interest.
And if I can just quickly jump in there as well, the 1.5, 1.6 that Dave's actually throwing out there as well, every state in the country is very different with their commissions. And sometimes it's even every area in every state has its own kind of thing going on. So make sure you actually do a bit of research into that, into your own spot where you're looking at selling first as well. But so you're basically talking like if there's like a $500,000 property and then it's like, okay, if you can get me 600, I'll pay you more. And that's written into the contract.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I suppose, Todd, you may ask me, well, why at the sliding scale? Why not just go with the cheapest agent?
Well, and this is something that I always used to think as well. Like, and now putting both my investor hat on and former agent hat on, I look at it and I think like, okay, I want the cheapest deal. It's as simple as that. I haven't actually no, that's a lie. I didn't even say it, so I can't say it's a lie. I was about to say I haven't sold a property.
It's recorded, Todd.
Yeah. I've sold my own property, and it was the unit that if you've listened to the show for a while, my first purchase was my worst purchase. I actually sold my own unit. That was in 2016. I was a hard one to negotiate with when it came to commission, but otherwise, I've always been of the sort of viewpoint of I worked hard for every vendor. I can genuinely hand on the heart say that. But the vendors that you would, just getting a better deal out of, and it's not about like, oh, sick, well, I got double commission on that. But it's when you're not getting screwed, you do the job for the vendor that's like, yeah, okay, I don't know why, but I halved my commission, but I was just desperate for the listing or whatever it was. But you're not going to go over and above. Like I remember Kate, actually, she's a wonderful lady. And I literally did I think it was a 6 a.m. private inspection for her. Like she didn't negotiate the hell out of the comms. I think I still gave her a good deal, but it wasn't like I'm going to screw you. Because I think if a relationship starts on that level, you don't want to put everything in for someone that's just been like, yeah, got you. But this is why I like this whole like sliding scale aspect of it, because it's like, hey man, I'm not going to pay you top dollar just because you say you're good. Show me you're good. Prove to me you're good.
Correct. And I think that's the most important aspect to it, Todd, is we can all go out and ask for high commissions, but prove it to me.
Yeah.
As a consumer or as a vendor, you want to know your agent can work for you and get you that premium price. And if they do, well, by all means, they are worth every single dollar. So personally, I like to use the sliding scale. Can mean I'm competitive, but also shows my true value.
Yep. And that way, worst case scenario as well, as an investor, if it's still a price that you're happy with, because at the end of the day, you don't ever accept a price, you don't sign off unless you are actually happy with it. But if you're not absolutely stoked, well, there's not some huge com that's attached to it. You're thinking, well, I made a bad choice there. It's like, no, this kind of hedges your bets as an investor.
Yeah. And I think the best way for it to be most effective is as an investor, just get a real understanding about where your property sits in the market. So if you are looking at doing your own sliding scale, and as an agent, I always recommend you come to me with what you propose as far as the sliding scale.
Yeah.
And then we can work around it. So having a true understanding of where the market's at,
Yep.
That gives you a good basis point.
Mm-hmm.
And then you sort of say to your agent, well, this is my dream price, and if you hit it, we'll look at this.
So basically when you're wanting to set this up, most important thing then is, as the investor, have a good understanding of where it sits first. Because if you're starting to negotiate like, hey, yeah, I'll give you a sliding scale commission, and you don't know what your property is actually worth, you could actually be screwing yourself, because you could be thinking, yeah, I've got this wonderful deal, but it turns out you've actually been given the wrong information on what your property is really worth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, David, I reckon this is actually going to save and potentially make a lot of people money if it's done correctly as well. So good advice from you, mate. But David Liston from OC, thank you so much for jumping on the show.
You're welcome, Todd. Thanks for having me.